Welcome back to Woodworking with Wes. Today we're going to demonstrate a little jig that you can use in the shop that'll help you save some money if you're just getting started or if you need to save some space. This is a line bore and it drills a series of adjustable shelf holes. I'm going to drill you a set and show you, and then I'm going to show you how to build a jig for your drill press that can replace this machine. This is a nice machine to have and still considered one of the must-haves in my opinion, but it's $1,000. So let's see if we can turn it to $5. That's what we do when we drill adjustable shelf holes. Now I'm going to show you how to replace this machine real easy and real inexpensively. Okay, to make this jig, you only need just a few things. These are the holes here that we've used to drill, and we're going to show you how to do that. You need a piece of scrap plywood, piece of scrap hardwood, a drill bit that is the size of this hole. This is the shelf pin that we use right here. It's a very tiny little shelf pin. Actually, I'll put it there so you can see it better. And hard to pick up. Anyway, this is the drill bit that drills this size hole. And we're going to use this drill bit in our drill press to set up our jig to drill for these adjustable shelf pins. It's a very simple little jig. We get started first off by marking a center line on our main board. We're 46, so 23. I'm going to use a ballpoint pen to make the marks on this because I want them to be very, very crisp, and because we want this jig to last, we want the marks to stay. We're going to do the same thing on our board so we can line it up. So let's find the center of that. Again, 46, so 23, yeah, 23. There's our center line, and we need to mark a return. So what we'll do is take our starret and we'll mark it so we end up with a line down across right. Now, we're going to line this up right here and nail this piece on, but we're going to make marks that are 2 inches all the way up and down here, and then I'll show you how we do our board to make those lines become our indicators as to where we're going to drill our holes. So that's the first thing we'll do, is we'll go ahead, we'll mark 2 inches either side of our line. So we were 23, but let's get right on there. And you can make this space anything you want. It doesn't have to be 2. You could make them 1.5, or you could make them 3, or whatever you'd want the intervals between your holes to be. Now, I always used 2, and I used this jig for a long time before I had a line bore drill press. And so I know it works because I used it. And I put it 2 inches apart just because that was a good spacing for my shelf holes. It allowed me plenty of adjustment, and I didn't have to worry about not having my shelves close enough together if I needed them, or far enough apart, or whatever. It was just a good interval. Now, what you want to do, we marked our 2 inches. Go down, put a good strong pen mark on your marks all the way up and down, just like you see me doing right here. We'll mark just a little ways. When I made the jig for my own use, I actually had a board that was quite a bit longer than my board, and I marked my 2 inches all the way out, and I'll show you how that works in just a minute. We also, I'm going to turn this around so I can see it. I want to extend these marks back just a little bit, kind of like my center line. We're only going to do it on a couple of them because I just want to show you how I did it more than anything. It's not a critical thing, but I did it for the fact that sometimes if I was drilling in a hardwood piece or something like that, perhaps my wood was a little thicker than my backstop piece and my lines were covered by the piece of wood that I was using, so I marked on top so I could see my lines. So there you go. We line that up, and I just put it flush with the back, line up my center line. There's my marks. And then we're going to just attach it with some 18 gauge 1¼ nails. Very simple, just like that. Now, we're going to go over and set this up on our drill press, and I'll show you how to do it, but there's one other thing I want to show you. We're going to use the other side of this board as our demonstration piece, but let's say this is a cabinet side. You're going to have a line of holes up and down both sides. What I used to do is I would decide where I wanted my bottom hole to be, and then I would mark up. And let's say we wanted our holes to start at 4 inches. So I'd make a line at 4 inches. And I would mark me just a pencil line so that I could clean it off. And I would mark it clear across on my 4-inch line, so that when I started drilling holes on one side, they lined up with the holes I drilled on the other side, and my shelves would sit flat. So let's take this all over to the drill press and set it up on the drill press, and I'll show you how it works. All right, now we're at our drill press. This is our jig, and we're going to set it up on our drill press. I'll have my video come in a little closer so you can see all the nuances of setting up our drill bit, or drill press. But basically what we want to do is we want to get lined up with the center line. So, and I want my hole to be, my line of holes to be about 1.5 inches out or back from the face of the cabinet. So I'm going to mark a line at 1.5 inches. Got to put my glasses on because I can't see my tape measure without them. So let's put my glasses on and mark a line 1.5 inches. Okay. We want to line the point of our drill press up to the little mark that we just made there and on our center line. So let's start by doing that. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get a preliminary setting right there. We're pretty close. We're going to throw a clamp on one side here. We're going to clamp that down good, and then we're going to continue to readjust. And we're still just about right where I want to be. We're a little off. We're going to give it a bump. And we bumped it a little too much. So let's bump it the other way just a little. I'll turn my drill bit so I can see the point. And we are perfect right there. Okay, now we'll put our other clamp on the other side of our drill press, right there on our table. And that's all there is to setting up the drill press as far as that goes. I am going to show you one little trick. I'm going to turn on my drill press. Gotta adjust it a little bit down. I drilled a little, just a small depression on my board so that next time I use this drill press, I'll know exactly where to line up my drill bit. You can see how that's centered on my line, and we're at 1.5 inches and we're centered on our center line. Okay, now I'll show you how we use our drill press to drill holes. Okay, here's our sample piece, but we had our drill press set to go all the way through, and we don't want our holes to go all the way through our board. So let's reset our drill press. You do that by adjusting right up here. You just set the stop on your drill press so that your hole, we want it to go about halfway through. The pin, the tail on the pin is not that deep. And so we don't need it to go real deep. And we don't want to drill lots more than we need to. I think right about there is good. You can see we're about halfway through. In fact, maybe even a little deeper than that. Right there. We're going to go right there. Not a critical measurement, but right there. And we've set our stop now. So every time we drill our hole, we'll just bottom out. Now, remember that line that we made on our board? We line the line up with the center line, and then I'm going to drill a series. And what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole, and then we're going to move our line down to our next line, and our next line, and our next line, and our next line, all the way out to wherever we want to. And that gives us a series of holes. And you can drill just about as fast as you can line up and pull the lever. You can see how fast that goes and how fast you could drill holes. Now, we'll blow that off a little bit. But remember, we made our line clear through. We turn our board around. We line our line up on our center line. And then we just move our line the other way. Let's drill a few holes here and demonstrate. You can see how you could drill a whole set of cabinets very quickly with a very inexpensive drill press jig. And if you've got a real long, say you're doing a real tall bookcase and you're longering your jig, well, you just mark up here and you mark you another line all the way through your board and continue to drill. This is a wonderful little jig addition for your shop, and it saves you time and space, because when you're not using it, you just undo the clamps and set it off to the side, and the drill press is free to do other things. To seeing you next time on Woodworking with Wes.